Okay. Yeah. Right here, right here. Yes. You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Can't hear, man.
Good evening. Would you please stand and join us in a salute to the flag? At the conclusion, would you remain standing for a moment of silence for Carol Buchanan, who we lost on Saturday. Carol was a longtime activist in our community. She was the president of the Hilton Neighborhood Association. She was on the library board of trustees, and she was involved with the Community Coalition on Race. Carol was very active in our community, as I said, and we'd like to remember her. So we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2019 to the News Record and Star Ledger in December 2018, and by filing said notice in the office of the Township Clerk.
Ms. Adams? Here. Mr. Daffis?
Here.
Mr. Lemberg?
Here. Good night, CC.
Mr. McGehee?
Here.
Mayor DeLuca?
Here.
Whereas Chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires that all meetings of public bodies be open to the public. And whereas Section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting, and whereas it desires the governing body to comply with the provisions of this act, same time to conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner, now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township Maplewood, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observation of the actions and discussion of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved.
Second. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lemberg?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes. Thank you. And welcome to the June 18th, 2019 meeting of the Maplewood Township Committee. I'm going to run through the agenda, and if you'd like a copy, we have agendas up here at the clerk's desk. We're to have a special presentation by Assemblywoman Myla Jacey. After that, we'll go into our lavender graduation, and Mr. Daffis will be leading us in that. We'll then have a public comment. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee, we'll ask you to come up here and give us your name and address and share your thoughts with us. We have a resolution on the Maplewood Village Special Improvement District and a public hearing. So if you'd like to speak on that, that would be the time to come up and speak on that Special Improvement District budget. And we also have a resolution and public hearing on the Springfield Avenue Partnership Special Improvement District. So again, if you'd like to speak on that, that would be the time to come up. We have one ordinance on final passage, and that's amending the redevelopment plan for Area 2. And we have 5 discussion items. The first is to join a legal suit as part of the Mayors Against LGBTQ Discrimination And this would be a legal suit around employment non-discrimination protections. We'll be discussing Electrify New Jersey, which is a campaign to promote more electric cars in the state. We'll have a discussion of the change in the Maplewood Police Department table of organization. We'll be discussing our outdoor cafe ordinance, and then we'll make a decision whether to cancel the second Township Committee meeting in August. We have our consent agenda, which has 16 resolutions dealing with some improvements that have been made to authorization of a summer 2019 breakfast and lunch program. Again, we will be approving the budgets for the 2 special improvement districts. We'll be paying out, let's see, that's for our subcode inspection, electrical subcode inspector. He's retired and he'll get a payout on his sick time and time due him. We'll be doing a change order for a capital road program. We'll be approving retail consumption licenses, liquor licenses, and retail distribution licenses, and also club license. We'll be approving bills and claims. We'll be purchasing a pickup truck. We'll be approving an agreement between the Township and the Maplewood Civic Association to hold the 4th of July activities. And we'll be approving a contract for security services at the court and the library. Lastly, we'll be giving approval to the open and closed sessions of our meetings on June 5th. At the conclusion, then, we have another public comment period. We'll have administrative reports and reports from elected officials. So I don't see our Assemblywoman here yet, so we'll start.
Mr. Mayor, Assemblywoman J.C. is on her way from Caldwell, so maybe we could do the Lavender Garden.
That would be great.
First,
and why don't you take us there?
Wonderful. I'd like to invite BOE member Shannon Cuttle, BOE President Anne Marie Manny. And do we have other electeds? Yes, we do have South Orange Board of Trustees Bob Zuckerman, and all of you, my colleagues, up to the podium. Okay, that's good. That's for the mayor. There. No, only one. Okay, so we did a little staging there. Now we're ready to go forward. Thank you all for being here with us this evening. We're really delighted and honored to have you all here, especially in light of the occasion. We are honoring and saluting our senior graduates, our LGBTQ identified and allied senior graduates, in what we believe is a first ever in New Jersey, if not by school district, definitely by municipality. And so we're really honored that you're all here together. I'd like to introduce Shannon Cuttle.
Thank you, Committeeman Dean Daffis. I'm Shannon Cuttle, with South Orange Maplewood Board of Education, and I'm very honored to be here tonight to be able to host our first Lavender graduation. A little bit of history of what a Lavender graduation ceremony is. Lavender graduation was actually founded in 1995 by a lesbian mom who was not allowed to her as a same-sex parent to her child's graduation from the University of Michigan. And so due to advocacy, she created Lavender graduation first on the campus of the University of Michigan. Now, fast forward 25 years plus later, we have thousands of colleges and universities across our country and internationally that are celebrating Lavender graduation as a rite of passage to recognize the accomplishments of LGBTQI+ and allied graduates. Over the last several years, Lavender graduation has moved from the college and university level down to the high school level, and we're seeing many GSA clubs, Spectrum clubs, and organizations and school districts work to highlight graduating seniors. And so in our wonderful, beloved Soma town and community, we thought nothing perfect and better than to come together to celebrate our first Lavender graduation ceremony, not just for our students at CHS, but to celebrate all of our graduating seniors that reside in South Orange and Maplewood. So tonight will be the first inaugural evening, and I'd like to first give a round of applause to congratulate our graduates. So what we're going to do is we're going to call each of the senior graduates' names up one by one. Please come to the podium. We will accept your Lavender graduation diploma. You'll be able to get your honor cord or tassel, however you designated that you wanted to receive, and then proceed down the line to be able to shake hands and then sit back down again. Then afterwards, we'll do a group shot, if that's okay with everybody, group photo with everybody. So the first name we'd like to honor this evening is Clem Hertz. The next graduate is Lily Hummel.
Our next graduate is Danielle Samaki. Our next graduate is Franca Rosenblatt.
The next graduate is Olive Fretz Howard. The next graduate is Kayla Bob.
I'd like to invite any of our graduates to say a few words if they like. Anybody so inclined? Come on, Clem.
It's actually pronounced Hewitt. It's not with an R, but like, I will treasure this forever. Like, yeah. It's like R instead of an H. There's an extra R in there. I don't know where that came from, but I will treasure this forever!
And I'd like to invite President Manning for a few remarks if she's so inclined.
This is really a special event, and I am so honored to serve with Shannon and to know Dean. And I think that this type of an event also honors our friend Carol. She always reminded us to be brave. She reminded us to stand our ground. She reminded us to not be silent. And at the event earlier this month, where both Shannon and Dean were honored as well, one of the speakers talked about ensuring that you're not silent. And you all represent the best of what's in us, being brave, being able to stand up and show us all the way. And I'm really honored that you allowed us all to participate, and congratulate you all on your graduation.
Mayor?
So I want to offer my congratulations on behalf of the Township Committee and the town. I think this is a terrific way for the school board and the township to work together. And so we're very happy to be hosting this evening. And it certainly, I think, speaks to our being an open and welcoming and inclusive community. And we thank you for your leadership and look forward to many, many more years of you taking charge, and someday you sitting up here and doing these celebrations of what's right in America. So thank you very much.
I'd like to invite our newly elected LGBTQ official next door in South Orange, Trustee Zuckerman, to say a few words.
Thank you, Dean. I first want to offer my congratulations on behalf of the entire South Orange Board of Trustees and our village president, Sheena Collum, who all asked me to congratulate all of you on this amazing honor. You know, as I was driving over here and driving right past the rainbow crosswalks, and then seeing the big rainbow flag in front of the building, and then the rainbow, there's a lot of rainbows, and I have to tell you, I graduated not far from here, from Livingston High School in a while ago. And it was unthinkable that this kind of ceremony would have happened back then. In fact, it was even unthinkable for students to be out and proud in high school. So we've come a long way. We still have a ways to go. We've come a long way, and I want to wish you all the very best in your future. Thank you.
So I'm going to close this out with a couple of remarks of my own. We wanted to do this year in particular on the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Rebellion, which really truly marked the modern day beginning of our LGBTQ liberation in our country. And we wanted to do something that really celebrated the next generation and the current generation that is leading us right now, our youth, especially in South Orange and Maplewood, that, as the mayor said, are truly welcoming and inclusive communities. We wear our pride very openly and visibly and loudly. We've had 3 pride flag raisings across town. We've had several events every single day of this month and continue to do so until the end of the month. To our graduates, I want to thank you for coming forth this evening to receive this honor. I want to thank you for your courage to be out and open and visible like this. You are certainly setting the bar and being great role models for all students across the board, LGBTQ and others. I wish you, I encourage you to dream big. I wish your dreams coming true. And you truly represent the hope of our united peoples, not just LGBTQ, reaching the promise of real equity and equality in America and around the world. So just a little burden on your shoulders. All right, thank you all very, very much. Shannon?
We have if the graduates would like to please come up so we can do a group photo. You can choose to wear any of your regalia or your cords or your tassels if you like for the photo. It'd be really great. Assemblywoman Nyla J.C., would you join us for the group photo? Board Member Robin Baker, would you like to join us for the photo? Thank you for joining us, being a part of today.
Let's let Joy is going to tell us what to do.
More tall people in the back, less tall people in the front. So you know, and I able to see all your faces.
Now let's wait. Yes. I'm going to ask Shannon Cuttle and Dean Daffis to come back up here to the microphone, and I'd like to introduce our Assemblywoman from the 27th District, Nyla J.C.
I apologize for being late. We were in Caldwell, where there are 2 people running for the council for the first time. And as someone who has been mentored by some terrific people, I thought it was important to be there. And it's not an easy trek from Caldwell to Maplewood, but in the rain. But it gives me great pleasure this evening to recognize 2 of our own for the work that they have done and I'm sure will continue to do. And so you'll be happy to know I'm not going to read this resolution. We were honored to be with them last week in Essex County in Newark, but we wanted to give these to them today. Let's see, Shannon? Because this is where they do their work, most of it. Not all of it, but a lot of their work is done in our community. And I think it's really important for us to recognize their work and to support them. And as you just saw, on behalf of our young people especially, we need to be there to support them as well. Because young people these days are under tremendous pressure. And I'm happy to say that we recently passed legislation that will require more attention being paid to mental health issues from kindergarten through 12th grade. And with that, congratulations and thank you for everything.
I'm truly honored and
You
very,
can raise it.
yeah, is it, I don't know how to use a microphone. Oh, it's connected. All right, so I'll just do this. Assemblywoman J.C., I'm truly honored and humbled by this recognition, especially coming from someone like yourself, who has been in the business of serving the public for a very long time, and who has established herself as a real advocate across the board on all the important kitchen sink issues in our state for all families, and who has a very celebrated record of getting things done year after year after year. This is not someone who just takes that seat and sits there. This is someone who gets the job done. So I tell you what, I'm going to make a deal with you. I'm going to take this today. I'm not going to give it back. But I promise you, through the years, I will truly earn it and your respect, your continued respect. So thank you very much.
So I will let you get on with your meeting and thank you for indulging me.
Just a little housekeeping here. Okay, thank you very much. We are now on the agenda, item number 7. It's the public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the Township Committee? See a lot of people moving around, but no one coming up. So I'm going to have to start calling you out. So we will close the public comment period. There'll be another one later on if you'd like to speak then. We have Resolution 133-19.
Mayor, resolution to read the Maplewood Village SID year 2019 budget by title.
So we have a hearing on the proposed budget for the Maplewood Village Alliance Special Improvement District. This hearing date was published according to law, and notification of property owners was made as required by law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this budget? The Village Alliance Special Improvement District budget for 2019. Seeing no one, can we get a motion to approve Resolution 133-19?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have Resolution 135-19.
Mr. Mayor, also a resolution to read the Springfield Avenue Partnership SID year 2019 budget by title.
So again, we will have a hearing on the proposed budget for the Springfield Avenue Partnership Special Improvement District for 2019. This hearing date of this evening was published according to law, and notification of property owners was made as required by law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this budget, which is the Springfield Avenue Partnership Special Improvement Budget for 2019? Seeing no one, we will close the hearing. Can we get a motion on the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number 13519.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have an ordinance on final passage.
Mr. Mayor, item 10, ordinance on final passage, ordinance number 2961-19, adopting and amending redevelopment plan for designating redevelopment area 2. This ordinance will further amend and supplement the redevelopment plan for redevelopment area 2.
This ordinance has been published, copies posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and copies made available to the general public in accordance with the law. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this ordinance dealing with redevelopment area 2? Seeing no one, will close the public hearing. Mr. Desiderio?
Yes, Mayor. I can report that I did receive from the Secretary of the Planning Board a memorandum dated June 13, 2009, advising that on June 11, 2009, the Planning Board reviewed this matter and determined that the proposed amendments to the amended and supplemented redevelopment plan for Area 2 were consistent with the master plan and made no revisions, or no recommended revisions.
Thank you. Can we get a motion, Ms. Adams?
Yeah, Mayor, I move this ordinance to be adopted as a whole. The clerk be directed to publish the same as a passed ordinance in the Maplewood South Orange News Record according to law.
I second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We have our discussion items. The first one is an email that I shared with you that we received from Freedom for All Americans. This is as part of my signing the Mayors Against LGBTQ Discrimination. There is a lawsuit being filed at the Supreme Court level, which would deal with employment non-discrimination protections for the LGBTQ community. And what we're asking is, assuming, and we have not seen the amicus brief, but assuming that we are comfortable with it and we would have our attorney, we're supposed to receive it the week of the 24th. If our attorney feels comfortable with it, the question before the Township Committee is, can we sign on behalf of the Township? And
Yes.
yes. Yes, we should have a motion, and so I will sign as the mayor, because they asked for mayors and governing bodies, so we'll do both. So can we get a motion to authorize the mayor and Township Committee to sign the amicus brief?
So moved.
Second.
There it goes. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. The second discussion item is the municipal resolution in support of electric vehicles. This is an effort by Electrify New Jersey to promote more electric cars. There's two things. There's a municipal resolution that we can pass as a Township Committee, and they're also asking us as individual elected officials to sign on. So I've shared again, and I think some of you probably received this directly from them. I shared the resolution. It basically talks about expanding public charging infrastructure, fostering greater affordabilities of electric vehicles, the charging infrastructure, electrification solutions to be equitably across the state, build consumer awareness, support market development. So do we have a motion to support this?
I'll happily move that, Mayor.
Any discussion?
Just that we were just talking about this in Engineering Public Works, how we ourselves have a desire to expand from more than the 2 charging stations we currently have, and some extra parking spaces by the commuter train to encourage building the infrastructure is really important in order for people to feel comfortable purchasing and using an electric vehicle. So I strongly support this. Thank you.
Okay, it's been seconded?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Desiderio, you have it, right? Okay. Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembert?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. And Mr. Lembrick, you have number 3, change of Maplewood Police Department table of organization.
I do have number 3, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. We have a proposal from our chief of police not to increase the total number of officers in our department from the current 63, but to take one of our 33 patrol officer positions and create and basically take that down to 32 and move one of the patrol officer positions to a patrol sergeant position. The main reason for this would be to reduce overtime, or at least reduce the cost of overtime. And the schedule that we have switched to in the last few years, which is sort of colloquially referred to at the police department as Power Wednesdays, where every officer on the Maplewood Police Department is on duty on Wednesdays, has really made it much easier and efficient for us to do the kind of training that we have all felt the Maplewood Police Department needed. And in order to keep that going and not have either shifts that are down or overtime every time we do training, we want to keep this Power Wednesday schedule, which has been working out well. But one of the things that happens because of this is particularly on the days that aren't Wednesday, and especially on the weekends, whenever there is a sergeant who is out, well, we frequently have a sergeant who is out on those days, and we have to fill in the overtime with either another sergeant, or oftentimes it's actually a lieutenant who ends up taking that spot. So we're incurring a lot of overtime in the supervisory ranks, which is a lot more expensive. What the proposal would do would be to take one of the patrol officers, move him or her up to sergeant, create that 9th sergeant position. We would still have the same number of officers on each shift, so we're not talking about taking officers off the road, off the streets, out of the community. This would just be giving us more flexibility at the supervisory ranks and making it less likely that we would need to replace a supervisor on overtime, which is much more expensive, particularly if they're being replaced by someone of a higher rank. So that is the proposal. It's been analyzed by our CFO, who has been able to see the additional cost of adding the sergeant and taking away the one patrol officer spot would cost us an additional $13,737 per year. And the projected reduction in overtime costs for doing that would be approximately $38,000. So the projected savings would be almost $25,000 in that. And even if that full amount is not realized, this does seem like a good way to give our chief and our leadership over at 1618 the flexibility with supervisors to make sure we always have the supervisors we need without having to hold over supervisors from other shifts or incur additional overtime at the supervisory rank. So the Public Safety Committee discussed this at our meeting last week. We received some materials from the chief as well as the memo from our CFO and had an opportunity to discuss that at the Public Safety Committee. And while we weren't all there, the mayor, myself, and Committeewoman Adams were there, and the decision was made at the Public Safety Committee to recommend this. So I am bringing this to the Township Committee for discussion with the understanding, and Mr. Desiderio will correct me if I'm mistaken, that because we'd be changing the table of organization, even though we're not increasing the number of total officers, this would require a change in the ordinance. So this would be for discussion tonight, and if we as a township committee would like to move forward, we could, Mr. Desiderio, could we put this on for first on July 2nd and final July 16th? Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, that's the proposal, and I just wanted to give the opportunity for everyone to discuss so we can decide whether we'd like to move forward with this.
Any questions or comments?
Oh, I'm in favor.
I'll just repeat what I said at the public safety. I think the chief is proposing to us a way to maintain the current schedule. And that's very important because it seems to be working, and it also allows us with Power Wednesday to be able to do the training that he talked about and he's committed to do. But I did express my concern of sort of the creeping up of higher ranking officers. And, you know, we are changing the ratio of sergeants now to patrol officers fairly dramatically. But I think he's made the case, it's sound, and so I'm going to be in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, I would say that we initially discussed this at the finance meeting. CFO didn't have a chance to give the full analysis, but I've read it since that meeting, which was presented at Public Safety, and I think that cost savings for immediate and short term makes sense to me.
Let's call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrecht?
Yes.
Mr. McGehee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes.
Mayor,
Thank
if
you.
I may, just 1 second.
Yes.
So when you see the ordinance, it's going to show no more than 11 sergeants. When you look at the table of organization, it's a little confusing because he has it broken down between patrol sergeants, traffic sergeant, detective sergeant. So the total number will be 11. It's presently 10. So that this table of organization will not appear in the ordinance. There'll only be verbiage to that effect, but it will show that there will be 11 sergeants.
So the current table of organization has 10 sergeants,
correct.
which
Not
in
broken.
practice gets broken down to 8 patrol sergeants, a traffic sergeant, and a detective sergeant,
But not in the ordinance.
but not in the ordinance.
Correct.
Right.
So I just wanted to alert you so it'll show a change from 10 to 11.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Outdoor cafe ordinance. Mr. Daffis?
Thank you, Mayor. By way of an update to our discussion about this a couple of meetings ago, as you all know, we have two related ordinances. We have the outdoor cafe ordinance that allows our restaurateurs to apply for a permit to occupy the sidewalk with umbrellas and chairs so that people can dine outside during the summer months. And we have the winter enclosure ordinance that allows restaurants to put up temporary winter enclosures around their restaurants. And we talked about this in terms of amending both ordinances to require restaurateurs who receive the permit to do these things to definitely clean the sidewalk by power washing or other easy methods to keep the sidewalk in good condition. Mr. Desiderio, we need to do that for both the cafe ordinance and the winter enclosure ordinance. I think there was discussion on this and agreement on this, so I don't think we need to discuss that. The issue that came up last time that we wanted to go back to code and look into, and I'm glad that we did, is the question of whether when someone uses a winter enclosure and then in the summer months takes down most of the enclosure, including the plastic, the doors, but leaves the roof. Is that something that we want to allow? And there was some discussion about whether or not that qualifies as an awning. Certainly in our outdoor cafe ordinance, we do allow for awnings, but awnings are specifically prescribed, believe it or not, by the UCC. They are required to be permanently affixed to the building. And so leaving a roof up of a winter enclosure is more akin to something like a canopy or a tent. So we discussed this in code committee. The discussion here for us this evening is whether or not we are comfortable with allowing canopies and tents in addition to awnings, or if we want to specify otherwise explicitly in our ordinance. Our own ordinance actually needs some work because it talks about awnings having to be not chained to the ground. An awning, again, is specifically prescribed as something that is permanently affixed to the building. So we have to fix that, Mr. Desiderio. But, the discussion is whether or not we have issues with canopies and tents. And the issue here is, practically speaking, if we allow this for one restaurateur, then any merchant could potentially put up a tent on the sidewalk. We're talking about something supported by 4 poles, which, creates obstructions, pedestrian obstructions on the sidewalk. That's the discussion.
So, from my opinion is that we should not allow any part of the winter enclosure. When this was presented to us, the idea was that these would be put up, both the winter enclosure and also the winter entry, that these would be put up and taken down completely at the conclusion of the winter period. I think if we allow the roof of a winter enclosure to stay, a canopy or a tent, we're opening ourselves to somebody going out to Target and buying a pop-up canopy and putting that on in front of their establishment and saying that's a roof. I think that what we ought to do is make it very clear, just leave the winter ordinance alone, except for the cleaning up that you talked about, as far as literally cleaning up the sidewalk. And I think in the outdoor cafe, there are 3 instances when awnings is used. In 187-15, it's 1 time, and 2 times in 187-16. We ought to just eliminate that because, as you clearly described, an awning is attached to the building.
Right.
And so it doesn't make sense to include it in here as a piece of equipment.
Well, we could clean that up so that we could allow awnings and not say that we're not allowing. I mean, we don't want to stop a merchant from buying and permanently affixing an awning that otherwise is approved by the MVA in terms of design and all that good
But
stuff.
that's under a different category. That's under the sign ordinance, the awnings.
That's under the sign
And it's also
ordinance.
under the design ordinance, so
Right,
it doesn't need to be in here.
Right.
Correct, great.
And it gets confusing when it's in both.
Right, so I would I would definitely support that we take it out of here. It's confusing, it's also not correct. And I support the proposal to leave our winter enclosure ordinance alone, but for requiring the sidewalk cleanup.
I agree.
Okay, here we go.
Sometimes I like to say I'm not sure
Okay.
what I'm doing, but
Number one,
actually,
in the-
I'm absolutely sure I'm not, I don't
Okay,
know.
in the outdoor ordinance.
That one I know, that one I got.
Okay,
On
okay,
the
in
umbrellas-
the outdoor cafe, you're taking the word awning
Out.
out of the outdoor cafe ordinance. In 187-15, period of operation,
Yep,
says awning there,
Yep.
umbrella, chairs, umbrellas, awnings. And in 187-16, A, chairs, umbrellas, awnings, taking that out? No, awnings.
Just awnings.
Awnings.
It's the word awning.
And in C, awnings. That's it. Those are the only places that I saw awnings.
That's it, Mayor.
Mr. Daffis, there was one other issue that Ms. Adams brought up, and that was the outdoor cafe in other districts, the time.
And we decided to leave it that way, as I recall. in code.
No, I think we extended it an hour in the other districts, or that's what we discussed at code, extending it to 9 o'clock, right? In the other districts?
Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Friday and Saturday till 9 p.m.
I thought we extended it to 9 the whole way, but, I mean, every day.
I don't recall.
I don't think we came to an agreement.
Right, I think,
So-
Oh,
yeah.
I thought that's what we came to.
I have in my notes that we left it alone.
Yeah, I would be in favor of leaving it alone.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You good? And you got the cleanup piece. All right. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
So Mr. Desiderio will prepare those ordinance for introduction at our next meeting?
Just clarification, are we having the cleanup of the sidewalk once a year, like after they take down the enclosure, or what did
The
we
way
decide?
we had drafted it was, are hereby required to maintain all sidewalks in or about the area of the outdoor dining or patio dining, including power washing, at the end of each outdoor dining or patio dining season.
Okay.
Yep.
Um,
Makes sense, I think. That's
Yeah, it
practical.
does. My concern is the outdoor enclosure that's up all year, so, but that comes down at the beginning of the outdoor dining season. And I don't,
I don't understand. What are you trying to say?
because that's, I mean, it could be cleaned up after, I suppose, but in the town I work in, this is actually the exact same conversation is being had about cleaning, power washing the sidewalk at the beginning of the outdoor dining to remove winter debris, salt, gook, everything else, and then at the end as well, for the same reason. But
How about if we did at the end of a winter enclosure and at the end of an outdoor cafe?
yeah, I'd be
That
good
sounds
with
good.
that, because,
Because not everybody has the winter enclosure.
Yep.
yeah, right.
Where would that go again? I'm looking at it.
So in it, yeah, in both.
It would go in both ordinances, yeah. Yep, yep.
That's
Now I
on, wait, that's on
understand that.
18760, where does that go? I'm just trying to-
It goes in there somewhere.
Okay, somewhere in one.
Yeah, Mr. Desiderio will figure it out and return it to us.
So you want cleaning at the end of the enclosure period and at the end of the dining period.
Okay. Next item is the proposal to cancel the second Township Committee meeting on August 20th.
Okay.
Well, we need a
Discussion.
motion, we need a motion to do so.
That was my discussion point.
Generally, in the past, we have done so because it's the light work. And one year, of course, 2 years ago, we had a lot of stuff going on in August, so we kind of stayed
Oh,
around.
yes.
Yes.
But generally, with vacations and all that, it's just is a way to give us a break and give the staff a break.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. Can we get a motion on the,
Can I ask, the August 6th meeting, will we be starting that meeting late because of?
Yes.
Night out.
National Night Out? Yes. Okay,
Yes.
Starts at 8 o'clock.
okay, 8 PM.
I'll be giving everybody a reminder with the public notice.
Before we do the consent agenda, I'm going to ask two things. One, Mr. McGee, if you would speak to the breakfast lunch program that we're doing. And then Ms. Fritzen, if you would speak to the various ABC licensing that we're going to be doing here, just to give us a reminder of what we're doing. So Mr. McGee, why don't you start first?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, through a lot of efforts of Candace Davenport, the Health Department, the Board of Ed, which passed a resolution last week, we are now able to offer deserving families from Irvington, Maplewood, South Orange, and surrounding communities breakfast and lunch at Maple Crest Park from July 15th through August 9th. This is a program that's been in the making for some time, and it's really an ability to extend the services we provide to our deserving youth in the community. We have an individual be working and managing the program, and it's just a way for us to give back to those in need. So there'll be some communications going out, both in English as well as in Creole, so that people can sign up for the program.
Thank you. And Ms. Fritzen?
Okay, so basically, what we're doing is renewing the plenary retail consumption, distribution, and the one club license that we have. Every June 30th, they're renewed for another year. In the meantime, I will tell you that I think everyone has definitely met your additional qualifications that you have as far as property maintenance issues, any other issues with any problems where police presence were required, things like that. They're all in really good shape this year. Everyone on the 3 resolutions has paid their state fee, which is across the board $200. And our Township of Maplewood fee, which for distribution, which is the liquor stores, is $1,938 per year. $2,400 for consumption licensees, and that goes to the Township of Maplewood. So I would recommend that you approve those 3 resolutions tonight on the consent agenda.
So, yep, go ahead.
Ms. Fritzen, have we provided notice during this time as you're renewing everything to our consumption licensees of our forthcoming new qualification?
We have not, again, only the one time.
Yep.
But I think that that's certainly a great idea
Right.
to do after they're renewed this time, to tell them that going forward in 2020, that would be a requirement.
Right, and we talked about doing that as well to caterers who run events as well.
Okay, and we were pleasantly surprised that most of them seem to know about the TAM program.
Wonderful, thank you.
Great. Can we get a motion on the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I move adoption of items 1 through 16 of the consent agenda.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Mr. Daffis?
Yes.
Mr. Lembrick?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mayor DeLuca?
Yes, thank you. We're at our second public comment period. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the Township Committee? Okay. Seeing no one, we will close that and we'll go to administrative reports. Ms. Viveros?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that I did get the EV car sharing RFP, and I have one vendor, and we're going to be working on a recommendation to the Township Committee. Hopefully, we'll have that on at the next meeting. So,
Great. Anything from Ms. Viveros?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
The Desideria.
Mayor, I just wanted to say that I did write to the BPU, and as of today, I have not heard any response.
Surprise.
Wow.
Surprise.
Thank you for your efforts. Thank you. Anything from Mr. Desiderio?
No.
Ms. Fritzen?
Just one item. I just wanted to report that it looks like you will have a person-to-person liquor license transfer hearing sometime within the next month for actually a pocket license to another location on Springfield Avenue, a plenary retail distribution license. So I'll be providing you with more information. Well, right now, it's a person-to-person, but it will end up being a place-to-place. They're 6 months down the line on demolition and things, but they want to at least make the transfer now with the person-to-person. But we need to have at least 2 notices in the paper, so it's probably a month away. That is all that I have.
And from Ms. Fritzen? Elected officials. Mr. Lembrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have 2 brief items, and both are congratulatory. First, I'd like to congratulate our colleague, Mr. Daffis, and our colleague on the Board of Education, Shannon Cuttle, on the recognition they've received, obviously from Essex County, and also for the great work that both of them have been doing throughout this month, where there is just, so much celebration of pride, and as was referred to earlier, there's rainbows everywhere we look. So anyone who's unfamiliar with Maplewood, who's coming through, I think is is getting a pretty quick and decisive sense of the kind of community we've got here.
Thank you.
So congratulations on that. I also want to, in the spirit of the Lavender graduation we held earlier, congratulate all of our local graduates, particularly those graduating from high school and moving on to the next chapter in their lives, but also those graduating from our middle school and the other schools who are going to be moving on to the next chapter in their lives. That'll be high school or middle school for the elementary school students. And my own daughter is having sort of a mini graduation, moving on from Marshall to Jefferson.
That's great.
So it's a very exciting time of year, and I just want to congratulate all of our graduates, all of their parents, and wish everyone a safe and happy graduation season. That is my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to express my condolences to Jim Buchanan and his family in the loss of Carol Buchanan. We worked together a long time ago on Springfield Avenue Partnership, as did the mayor. So we had a long road and a lot of work together, and she will be sorely missed. And I want to thank the mayor for his very moving eulogy today at her service. Also, I wanted to bring up an issue. A few residents reached out with regard to unleashed dogs in our parks. I know this has come up a lot over the years. I'd like my colleagues to consider, I did talk to the chief of police about this, and he asked that the township committee agree on a directive because it will help his force enforce the law. If and they'll feel they have the support of the township committee, they would feel better about it. The problem is, as everyone knows, there are sort of a lot of unleashed dogs in particular in Maple Crest and in Maplewood Memorial Park. The leash law that we have is on the books, and while I was criticized for saying I see both sides because I have a well-trained dog, but I also know that other people's dogs may not be the same, or other humans in the park may be uncomfortable. So while dog owners think that their dogs are well behaved, or they're well trained, or they're really friendly, you don't know about the other dogs that are leashed. You don't know about people and how they feel about dogs. And actually, I came across 3 dogs with their owner by the river the other day, just after this issue was out, and I had my dog on a leash, and 2 of the dogs were chasing each other and came over to my dog, and I asked the owner to please take the dogs, control the dogs, put them on a leash, or take them away, because I was nervous. I don't always know how my dog will react. And he said, "Oh, they're just playing, they're friendly." I said, "Yeah, but you don't know my dog." So I think there is a real discomfort of people. Dogs like perfectly friendly, understood, they want to run, but people are uncomfortable, and I think our parks are for everyone, and we need to kind of get this a little bit more under control. I think it's grown. Used to be just like at 6 a.m, there'd be people running their dogs around, but now it seems to be at all hours of the day, and it's not about the dog, it's about the safety and the comfort of everyone using the parks. And we do have several dog parks in the vicinity. There are 3 in South Mountain Reservation, one of them is in West Orange, one of them is in Maplewood, and one of them in Short Hills. There's a dog park in Montclair, there's one in Livingston, and just got in our packet today that there's constructing a dog park, groundbreaking for construction of a dog park at Branch Brook Park in Newark. So I think there are all our alternatives, and so I just wanted to put this out there to my colleagues to see if we can lend support to the police department to do some checks in the parks now and again, so that dog owners know they need to be a little more considerate of others.
So I'm in favor. I mean, I generally think that the police should enforce the laws. So I'm not sure why we have to do a directive to tell them to enforce the laws. But I think that everything you described is true. People are like leaving their dogs off leash more. And particularly now with the schools closed, there's going to be more people in the parks. I think we should reinforce to the police that they should enforce that law.
Yes.
A public safety issue too. This is not just a quality of life issue. I know that there are some out there who are going to react to this in the way that they do sometimes, calling us the nanny state. But, you know, we do have this ordinance. It is important, and it is really a public safety issue. I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree as well. And another thing that sometimes people do is they feel like they can safely let their dog off leash by putting them in one of our fenced areas like tennis courts, basketball courts, and that's not good for, you know, A, the people who want to use those facilities, and also B, the surface of those facilities, to have animals that really aren't supposed to be there running around and doing what animals do on those surfaces. And I hear consistently from some of our tennis players in town that you know, what can we do to stop you know, the tennis courts from being used as a dog run? And they've even said, you know, we wouldn't even mind if you took out one of the walls, or, you know, sort of one of the fences around, because, you know, the balls might, you know, we might have to occasionally chase a ball, but if there was somewhere for the dog to get out, people wouldn't let their dog off leash and let them run around in there. Yeah, I mean, you know, some people are responsible about it. Some people have a very friendly dog, like you said, but, you know, that's not what the law is. So, you know, we need people to not only be responsible, but be law abiding. So I agree with my colleague.
So let's make sure we convey the message to the chief, not just on the green part of the parks, but in the basketball courts, tennis courts. I was standing in the police station once watching someone at Maple Crest in the tennis courts where she was on the phone over here and the dog was running and wasn't paying attention to the dog at all in the tennis court there. So, okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Daffis.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple quick items. I wanted to report from code enforcement generally. I want to get the word out there to our residents that we are definitely beefing up our property maintenance efforts across town, and especially you know, when they cause blight or public safety concerns. And so we're doing a townwide audit to find intersections where we might have some site issues because of overgrown bushes that belong on private property, and other property maintenance issues that are of concern. We're also looking at ways that we could, within the limitations of the law, combat something that's becoming more and more common in town, which is flippers who sit on properties that are under construction for a really, really long time. There are ways that we can find within our own local ordinances to sort of beef up and encourage that construction occurs consistently and at some point quickly, rather than holding on for a really long time. I want to report about the coalition and their recent presentation of their latest demographic study. It was extremely analytical, and they did a very deep dive this time, as they always do, particularly this time, as they looked at economic data and they compared us to surrounding towns such as West Orange and Milburn. They had not done that previously. And while we have a lot to be proud of, we are very diverse, certainly one of the most diverse towns in Essex County when compared to others around us. But it is very clear and very eye-opening and disheartening that we are losing African-American families from Maplewood. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we don't have enough data just yet. And the census data from next year will certainly provide a little bit more color as to this. But I personally would like to see the Township Committee, the the governing body, become a little bit more involved and take a stake into this issue and look at ways that we can fight segregation and promote integration. And I'll be reporting back as to my recommendations in forthcoming meetings about that. The Maplewood Village Alliance Design Review Expanded Committee looking at the design proposals at the 104 Baker Street, former Toomey's gas station, continue. As you would expect, there's emotions are high, but I do think that the conversations are fruitful and valuable, and that proposal continues to come around, and people are still talking, so that's good. Even if they're not always being so nice with each other, at least they're talking. So that's a good thing. Tomorrow night, the Youth Advisory Committee will be meeting for possibly the last time before summer break. We'll be discussing nominations for new chairs, and new proposals for next year's work, which I'm really excited about. And then lastly, Pride. This is day 18th of a fulsome month of all kinds of events and activities. I want to applaud and salute North Jersey Pride for putting on a great Pride Festival, one of the best, I believe, a couple Saturdays ago in the park. We had a great day. We had a lot of people from all over the region, and it was just a wonderful vibe. Everyone felt very comfortable and very happy. It was really nice to be a part of that. I'd like to highlight two upcoming events. One on Friday night that we're doing in partnership with Garden State Equality and with SAGE. It is a presentation focused at seniors. We're going to be doing dinner and movie, free dinner and movie. We'll be presenting the acclaimed documentary Generation Silent. It's about our senior elders who are LGBTQ from the previous generation who are experiencing discrimination in housing because there aren't welcoming and affirming housing policies, and they're sort of going back in the closet and experiencing abuse and discrimination. It's very eye-opening, and dinner will be provided thanks to Village Trattoria, Mary Valles, and her very charitable soul and big heart that she has. And there's a great event tomorrow night too at the Woodland also. North Jersey Pride is going to be showing From Selma to Stonewall, which is also Thursday night, right? Today's still Tuesday, right? I'm pushing the week. That's Thursday night, and the previous documentary that I mentioned is on Friday night. And if you want to join me on Saturday, Princeton will be hosting its very first Pride Parade. It's very, very exciting. We will be marching through the Witherspoon-Jackson historic neighborhood, and the governor and the first lady will be with us, and I will be one of the featured speakers. So if you're not tired of hearing my voice yet, you can come and hear me once again.
No.
And that is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Send us a tape.
We'll wait
Mr.
for the-
McGee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Daffis, I have a question for you in regards
sir.
to code enforcement. We've had a lot of rain this spring, so our grass and our bushes are abundant. If you have a neighbor that you think, has an issue with a corner lot and it's growing, what does the resident do to address that issue?
Well, we always empower folks to solve problems like good neighbors. Knock on your neighbor's door, have them over for a beer, and discuss it with them in a neighborly fashion before getting litigious or calling the cops or coming to town hall angry. But if that doesn't work, then certainly reaching out to our code enforcement department and asking to speak to one of our inspectors who are always out around town inspecting.
Thank you, Mr. Daffis. And also for our residents out there, with a lot of rain, there is, some clutter in the streets. So if you can adopt a sewer drain on your block, that will help with getting that water away and not building up and causing issues as well on your respective blocks. I just want to go back and add additional information to the resolutions we passed about the Kids Eat Free program. I did not include the times. The time for breakfast is between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m., and the time for lunch is between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. The dates are the same, July 15th through August 9th. Maple Crest Park, 237 Oakland Road. And if you want more information, here's a phone number, area code 973-399-6598, and the contact is Natalie. So a couple other things happening in town. This Sunday, we're going to have our G-Fest right there on Springfield Avenue. So come on out and check out some pretty cool cars. That's at 1866 Springfield Avenue, basically at Yale and Springfield. I also want to remind our residents that July 1st is right around the corner. Next time we meet, it will be past July 1st. And so our single-use plastic checkout bag ordinance will be in play. So again, you will not be able to get any single-use plastic bags as of July 1st. You will have the opportunity to get a paper bag, and eventually there'll be a fee, but this is happening July 1st, so just be prepared for that. And then also I want to, as my colleague stole my thunder, I really want to congratulate all the high school and 8th graders, including my daughter who's graduating on Friday from MMS. It's a special time. We had prom for CHS yesterday, so you saw all the social media, all the pictures. I know they did their thing at the gazebo.
Look at it now.
And yes, so it's, it's a happy time for guardians, loved ones, and parents. And so just in 5th graders and transferring from maybe 2nd to 3rd, case may be. So congratulations to all the families in our community. It's a special time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I have two items. One, we expect to get the draft regulations of the library bond ordinance out on July 1st, and our library building committee is meeting on July 10th to assess them. There'll be a 60-day period of public comment, so we should be able to come back to the Township Committee at our July 16th meeting with sort of a roadmap of where we're going with that. And the second and last thing I have is when at the conference of the New Jersey Conference of Mayors, Mr. Daffis and I were there, and we stopped at the group that's called Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. This is something I've done in the past. I've signed this statement of support for those employees that we have who are members of the National Guard or the Reserve Service. Basically that we will protect their rights that they have, that we will work with them so that they can fulfill their obligations of service and continue in employment with us. So they asked us if we would support this. I said, yes, I would. And they asked if I would sign this at this statement of support at a township meeting, and I am, and here I go. So, and then we will give this to our human relations folks, human resources folks, and today is the 18th. And there we are. And with that, we can adjourn if someone makes a motion.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll see you on the July 2nd. Thank you. So.